It's Friday night. Say yeah for it's another edition of Strictly Sports. Hello, friends, and welcome to yet another all new edition of Strictly Sports. I am your host Anthony Floyer, joined as always by girl MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bolick. We have a very small docket this evening, folks, but I tell you, it may be a small docket, but it's going to be a big night. I'll tell you that for sure. Huge main event that we're going to get into in just moments. But we have one small order of business that we have to take care of first. And that is from the NBA. Tom Thibodeau was fired by the Minnesota Timberwolves back on the 7th of this month. And here's the story. Minnesota Timberwolves fired President and Coach Tom Thibodeau on Sunday, clearing the way for ownership to revamp the team's basketball operations. The move came moments after the Wolves' 108-86 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers improved their record to 19-21, including 14-6 at home. They're 11th in the Western Conference standings. Minnesota CEO Ethan Casson, accompanied by General Manager Scott Layden, walked into Thibodeau's office and fired him after the victory over the Lakers, league sources told ESPN. Thibodeau had no idea his ouster was imminent, sources said. Layden will remain in place for now, but his future remains uncertain. Former Chicago Bulls coach Fred Hoiberg, as well as ESPN analyst Chauncey Billups, have been discussed as possible candidates for GM or head coach, sources have said, but the organization has yet to reach out to either. Hoiberg is a favorite of owner Glenn Taylor, although there is concern within the organization that it could lose him as a candidate should UCLA aggressively pursue and hire him for its head coaching opening. Hoiberg prefers to stay in the NBA as a coach rather than return to college basketball, a source said. Timberwolves plan to separate the powers of front office and coach, which would leave the San Antonio Spurs as the only franchise where their coach, Greg Popovich, holds final say over basketball operations decisions. Assistant coach Ryan Saunders, the age of 32, will take over as Minnesota's interim coach. He is the son of the late Flip Saunders, who had two stints as Timberwolves coach. Minnesota also dismissed assistant coach Andy Greer, who had a close association with Thibodeau. Thibodeau's status became tenuous after the saga of Jimmy Butler's trade demand destabilized the franchise earlier this season. Minnesota has gone 15-12 since trading Butler to the Philadelphia 76ers in November after opening the season 4-9 with the four-time All-Star. Thibodeau was surprised by the timing of the dismissal on Sunday the 6th, expecting that he might finish the season as coach, sources said. He did not have a strong relationship with Casson, who has lobbied for a coach who worked better with the business side of the organization and caused fewer problems with public relations. There were concerns on the business side of the T-Wolves about season ticket renewals and sponsorships without a change in basketball operations. For now, Layden can help navigate the organization through the upcoming trade deadline, which will be on February 7th. Taylor had seriously considered dismissing Layden earlier in the season, but stayed with him. Thibodeau had final authority in basketball operations, and Layden essentially worked for him. Thibodeau led the T-Wolves to the franchise's first playoff appearance in 14 years in 2017 and 18. He ends his tenure with a 97-107 record, with his win total tied with Rick Adelman for the second most in team history behind Flip Saunders. In a statement, Taylor said, "We would like to thank Tom for his efforts and wish him all the best. These decisions are never easy to make, but we felt them necessary to move our organization forward." Fred Hoiberg was fired as the Chicago Bulls coach last month, less than 3 seasons after replacing Thibodeau there. Hoiberg, who played his final 2 NBA seasons with Minnesota, served as the team's assistant GM until returning to his alma mater, Iowa State, to coach in 2010. And Chauncey Billups played 2 seasons with the T-Wolves from 2000 to 2002 before signing with Detroit in free agency, and we all know how that worked out. So, Detroit basketball, anyone? So, you know that story. So, all this, yeah, I mean, I'm honestly not a fan of firing a coach during a season, especially at this point. I mean, we're nearing the halfway mark of the NBA season. The All-Star game is rapidly approaching. It's probably about a month or so away. So I don't like that. But at the same time, you have to do what's best for your team. And I'll be honest, the Minnesota Timberwolves are not a good team. I'm going to be realistic here. I don't see them doing anything. I don't see them making the postseason this year. I really don't. And, it is what it is. And, you know, some I know will probably call this dirty pool. I can understand. But, you know, it's kind of like what the authority would say, what the authority used to say in the WWE, best for business. And I can understand it from that angle, but at the same time, like I said, something about firing a coach during the season while the season's in progress, that really rubs me the wrong way. I mean, we've seen that. We saw a lot of that in the NFL this past year, and we got to do it here. So I don't know what's next. I mean, MF and I can tell you from experience. I mean, as Chicago Bulls fans, in the earlier this decade, when the Bulls were, actually had a fairly decent team. Derrick Rose and company. Those 2 years where they finished with the best record in the East, and we'll never forget 2011 because that was the year they went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and unfortunately, we didn't have the happy ending we were hoping for. But it is what it is. He is a good coach. He was Doc Rivers' right hand man in Boston, and we all know how that worked out. But don't get me wrong. Yes, he may have some issues, but I do believe. I don't think he's going to get anything this year, especially at this juncture of the season. But I think maybe next season, I could see Thibodeau maybe at the helm of another team because he really is good. So, but I don't know about a head coaching position. He's a great assistant, but as a head man, he's solid, but he's not overly spectacular. I'll put it that way. So that's just my quick thought on it. So really nothing more to say here. MF, come on in. We know Tom Thibodeau better than anybody. I mean,
Yep.
you know him better than anybody. And, an in-season firing, I'm not really a fan of it. But at the same time, as the authority would always say, you have to do what's best for business.
It's one of those weird situations. But the thing is that Tom Thibodeau really lost favor with management because of the Jimmy Butler deal. The Jimmy Butler situation kind of caused a lot of problems for Minnesota, and there was a lot of headaches. And yeah, there was a difference between Karl Anthony Towns and Tom Thibodeau and Jimmy Butler. And at that point, that there was no way that you could have handled a situation like that. Things had just kind of exploded at that point, and that was that. So obviously, a firing that needed to be done. Like you said, in season firing are bad. You hate to see it happen, but in this situation, it had to be done. So unfortunately, this is what had to be done. More than anything else, bad situation, probably made worse, but it is what it is. But like you said, Minnesota not really a good team at all, and you don't really see much in the way of them making a big run here, that's really what you're looking for. So you're hoping for the best. You're thinking what's gonna happen now, and yeah, there's a little bit of a situation going on. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say, and that's really it. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean I mean, I hate to see a coach get fired uh, during during the season. I mean, especially when you're about the halfway point of the season. But but yeah, like you said, I mean, the management I think was just lost. I mean, they lost faith in Thibodeau, especially like like after what happened with the whole Jimmy Butler situation, where that pretty much got ugly. And yeah, and that's why Jimmy Butler obviously left for Philadelphia. And yeah, and and there was basically, I mean, after all that, that's when the management decided, even after the Timberwolves got a victory over the Lakers, they decided to say, you know what, we're gonna move on from you. And like you said, this team's not going anywhere. I mean, they're not even gonna make the playoffs this year, so I can definitely understand it. But I just still really hate to see a coach get fired at about the halfway point of the season. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on it as well. I mean, you guys pretty much touched on everything else, but now, Florio, now let's get to the good stuff here, the one that we've been waiting for.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you, when I saw the docket for this week's show, and when I saw the length of it and how small it was, and especially with this on it, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun here. So it's main event time, gentlemen. Oh yeah, conference championship weekend in the National Football League. Oh ho! Now I have to be honest. Since these matchups were officially announced on Sunday night, I got to tell you, I have been excited, beyond excited, because you know me. I'm an offensive guy. MF, as we all know, he's the defensive mastermind, as we all know. MF, I'm sorry to say, you ain't going to get no 9-6, 10-3 defensive battle in either of these games. Because the two games we have here involve the four highest scoring offenses in the regular season. And it's because of that I strongly believe this conference championship weekend is going to be perhaps the greatest whatever. Both of these games have potential to be five-star classics, chock full of Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest. So with all that being said, let's dive right on in to the first half of the doubleheader. As we all know, will be the NFC Championship game between the number 2 seed, the Los Angeles Rams, squaring off against the number 1 seed, the New Orleans Saints, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Kickoff slated for 3:05 on Sunday. It's on Fox. You don't need a dirt sheet. You know who's working it. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Chris Myers. They will be in the dome for this highly anticipated rematch from one of the best games of the regular season. The spread favors the New Orleans Saints, and rightfully so. They're opening up as 3 to 3.5 point favorites. And it's an old school division rivalry renewed. Because as you know, for most of you who may not know, these two teams used to be in the same division. They used to be in the old NFC West. And they do have playoff history. I'll get into in a minute. We all know these two teams met back in week number 9, November the 4th, in the Superdome, and it was the Saints who came away with the win, 45-35. And it was this game that determined the home field advantage. And that's how New Orleans got the home field advantage over Los Angeles. And just waiting for my history to load up. Okay, we're loaded. And there is playoff history between these two teams. They have met in postseason before. And let me just find it here. Okay. This will be only the second postseason meeting They met only once before, and it was in the 2000 NFC wildcard game in the Superdome, and it was the Saints who came away with the win 31-28. So that's the history there. So I believe we have all the schematics out of the way, and we're going to start it off with good old MF, Michael Fletcher, NFC Championship game, Los Angeles Rams, New Orleans Saints. Oh, my goodness.
Excuse me.
MF, we had one shootout in the Dome between these two back in November.
Yep.
I smell another one.
Oh, without a doubt. This is going to be a great game. And the thing behind it is, what are we going to get this time around? Remember, there was no Akeem Talib in the first game. Talib was injured, and we saw what the Rams did. They gave up 45 to our New Orleans Saints, to the New Orleans Saints offense. This time around, the defense is a little more better, so you got to think it's going to be a lot more closer, a little more of a closer game. One problem now is that offensively, now the Rams have been struggling. They lately they just can't put up points. Jared Goff, has done good, not great. As everybody knows, Todd Gurley has been nursing a little bit of an injury. Hasn't been 100%, but he's been playing pretty well lately. C.J. Anderson's been a great emergence for them. And then, of course, with the wide receiving core, it's going to be great. But, of course, when you talk about New Orleans, talk about Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Michael Thomas. And if you remember, Thomas went absolutely bonkers in the first matchup. And I truly believe that could be one of those key factors of the game. Also, defensively, the Saints definitely gets at the quarterback. They definitely made the life very uncomfortable for Jared Goff in the first game. And Michael Bullock and I were there at Buffalo Wild Wings to witness the game. And we were marveling at, holy cow, how amazing this thing was going. It was definitely a great game, a great matchup, to say the very least, and it definitely is one of the marquee matchups. For the first time ever, I'm going to say it, both the AFC and NFC championship games are well worth the price of admission. Both games should be amazing. At the end of the day, who gets the Duke? Who goes to the Super Bowl? I gotta say New Orleans. New Orleans looks like the team that won it all back in Super Bowl 44. Offensively, they're loaded. Defensively, they get at it. And Sean Payton just got to play a smart game. Being at home in the Dome, I think they're going to turn it up again, and they're going to win it. 45-35 was the final score the first time around. I think it's going to be a lot more closer than that. 35-31, the New Orleans Saints clinches the NFC Championship for the second time ever in their history, and they will get the golden ticket to go to Atlanta for Super Bowl 53. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's all yours.
Yes, this is definitely going to be a good one here. I mean, yeah, when Fletch and I we got to watch that game at Buffalo Wild Wings, I mean, we couldn't believe what we were seeing with what the Saints was doing against the Rams. I mean, I think we could be in for another one of these games. I think it could be closer than last time. But this time around, like you said, you got to keep Talib this time around. But like you said, the Rams offense, I mean, it has struggled some. I mean, Todd Gurley, he did look good in the divisional game, going over 100 yards. But C.J. Anderson, I mean, what a nice addition he's been. He went over 100 yards in that playoff victory over the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, Jared Goff knows that he's got to play really well to match up with Drew Brees, because Brees in that offense is definitely going to be on their A game, especially when you got Michael Thomas, who went over 200 yards receiving in that game the last time they met, and the defense was all over Jared Goff, especially with Cameron Jordan, and then of course the addition of Eli Apple to help out in shutting down some of the corners. And I think Apple could be matched up with Robert Woods. So, but the thing is, can that Rams defense, can they get to Drew Brees, especially the sacks leader in the NFL, and Aaron Donald? If they can, if Wade Phillips can dial up enough pressure on Drew Brees, I think it could be this could make it really close. But the thing the Rams have to deal with, that loud Superdome crowd that's going to be going bonkers during the game. So he's going to have to deal with all that noise there. So in the end, I'm going to agree with Fletch, and I too am going with the New Orleans Saints to punch that ticket to Super Bowl 53. Yeah, I'll go with 35-31 as the final here. Breeze, I expect to have a really big game, and I expect to see a lot of that running back tandem of Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Michael Thomas. I don't know if he's going to go over 200 yards like he did the first time, but he's definitely going to go over 100 yards receiving. And Sean Payton, he's definitely going to have a great game plan. So, yeah, I got the Saints punching their ticket to Super Bowl 53, their second Super Bowl appearance ever. Florio, it is yours.
For both of these games, I'm going all out, as you all know, because I am the Jim Nance / Joe Buck of this group. So I'm gonna throw something in to both of these games that shows you how much I'm going all in. I'm gonna give you each team's X factor in this throughout this preview. So for the Los Angeles Rams, their X factor is the run game. There has only been one other playoff performance like running back Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson's in the last decade. It was in 2013 when former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick and Frank Gore each had 100-plus receiving yards. And the last pair of Rams to complete the feat were Marshall Faulk and Trung Candidate when they combined for 328 yards in 2001. Gurley and Anderson combined for 238 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys, who allowed just 3.8 yards a carry during the regular season, the fourth best run defense in the NFL. By all accounts, it should have been difficult for Gurley to finish his 7th game with 100-plus yards at 115, and Anderson to have his 3rd consecutive game with 120 or more yards with 123. But the pair got it done behind a stout offensive line. The two will again need to bring one of their best games against the Saints, but this will not be easy. New Orleans finished the regular season with the second best rushing defense and allowed only 3.6 yards a carry. The Saints have talent in 4-time Pro Bowl defensive end Cameron Jordan and defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, the 12th overall pick in the 2016 draft. There has only been a handful of times they have given up more than 100 yards on the ground. In Week 9, the Rams rushed for 92 yards. It was their second game up to that point with fewer than 100 rushing yards, 5th total on the season. Meanwhile, the Saints had only allowed 100 or more rushing yards once before their first meeting with Los Angeles. Since then, 3 other teams have been able to rack up yards on the ground against New Orleans. The Rams will need to add their names to the list. For the New Orleans Saints, their X factor, you guys have said it, Michael Thomas. Yes, Drew Brees orchestrated another come-from-behind win to put the Saints one game away from their second Super Bowl appearance. But if Brees is the conductor, then Michael Thomas is just waiting for his solo. Thomas, who led the league in the regular season with 125 receptions for 1,405 yards, helped the team to a 2014 win over the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round. He had 12 catches and 1 touchdown, which put the Saints ahead for good. He set a franchise playoff record with 171 receiving yards that included a handful of catches that would be difficult for anyone not named Michael Thomas. But what's more impressive than his colossal numbers is that it wasn't even his best performance of the season. The 2-time Pro Bowl player has had 2 other games with 180 yards or more. Week 1, 180 yards, and Week 9, 211. His 211-yard day was against the hot and cold Rams defense. Los Angeles boasts a defensive front that includes the likes of Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh and Michael Brockers. The 3 have 26 combined sacks and will pressure quarterback Drew Brees every opportunity they get. It's the Rams secondary that should cause concern, especially against Thomas. In Thomas's previous matchup against the Rams, cornerback Marcus Peters was exposed on big plays more than he made them. Los Angeles employed a zone defense which Brees and a wide-open Thomas took full advantage of. And when Peters was playing man coverage, Thomas overpowered him to snag the ball for 12 receptions, his second highest of the season. Peters, who can and does have the ability to make those big plays, had a pass breakup that nearly resulted in an interception. It just depends on which secondary shows up to face Thomas. So those are your X factors from the NFC Championship game. I'll get into my AFC ones in a little bit. But now to the good stuff here. By record, these were the 2 best teams in the NFL, and the reason the 13-3 Saints are hosting the 13-3 Rams is because the Saints won their regular season matchup 45-35 in Week 9 in New Orleans. In that game, the Saints built a 35-14 second quarter lead, but the Rams came back and tied it up at 35 in the 4th. A Will Lutz field goal put New Orleans back on top, then a 72-yard touchdown pass from Drew Brees to Michael Thomas sealed the victory. After the game, Rams cornerback Marcus Peters, who was the victim of the big Thomas catch, was told that Saints coach Sean Payton said he liked the Thomas Peters matchup for his side. Peters responded by saying he looked forward to seeing Payton again and having a quote-unquote nice little bowl of gumbo together. Well, there are myriad gumbo options in the neighborhood surrounding the Superdome, where the Saints are 7-2 this season. Saints are the favorites, FPI favorites, 63.2%. Expect offensive fireworks with the number 2 Rams and number 3 Saints offenses in terms of efficiency this season, according to FPI. Though the Rams did rank 6th in defensive efficiency on the road, it will be a tough task against the Saints, who ranked 2nd in offensive efficiency at home 85, led by Drew Brees, league-leading 89.7 total QBR in home games this season. The matchup to watch, Michael Thomas versus the Rams secondary. Thomas caught 12 passes for 211 yards, including a 72-yard touchdown over Peters in New Orleans' Week 9 victory over LA. Look for Payton to bump Thomas inside to get favorable matchups against the Rams' zone coverage, while featuring Thomas on deep inside cuts that allow Brees to make high-percentage throws. With Aqib Talib now healthy, however, don't be surprised if the Rams play more man-to-man coverage to get the veteran corner matched up with Thomas to limit the quick game and challenge the fade on the boundary. Bill Vinovich is going to be the referee of this game. Chances of a low penalty game are good. Vinovich's regular season crew threw the fewest flags per game at 13.1 this season, and he called 11 in the Colts-Texan wildcard game 2 weeks ago. Both the Saints, number 5, and the Rams, number 7, were among the NFL's least penalized teams. Vinovich was the referee for the team's Week 9 matchup, and there were 7 flags in that game. One twist to be aware of: the Rams are 0-8 in games Bill Vinovich has refereed since the start of the 2012 season. Injury update: the Rams have a clean bill of health, but the Saints will be without defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, who tore his Achilles in last Sunday's win over the Eagles, a big blow to New Orleans defense. The only other players in limbo this weekend are Keith Kirkwood with a calf and Benjamin Watson with an illness, both of whom missed practice Wednesday and Thursday for the Saints. The loss earlier this season lingers, but this is not the same Rams team that visited the Superdome in November. The Rams now feature a 1-2 punch in Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson, who combined for 238 rushing yards in the divisional round win. Their defensive front is finally playing up to expectations, thanks in large part to Ndamukong Suh raising his level of play. Plus, Talib, who was on injured reserve in Week 9, is back in the secondary and will surely play a part in slowing down Thomas. Expect a bigger impact from both defenses in this rematch, The Saints won't be able to exploit the Thomas Peters matchup as much now that Talib is healthy. And it's hard to imagine they can hold Aaron Donald and company without a sack again, especially with their offensive line a little banged up. But New Orleans defense also has been playing some big-time football down the stretch. Since that Week 9 win, the Saints defense has allowed just 5 points a game after halftime. I'm going to make you unanimous. I agree. I'm going with the New Orleans Saints to win, even though I'm still very high on the Rams. But I think it's going to be just a smidgen lower scoring than you guys have it. I'm going to say 27-26, New Orleans over Los Angeles to send the New Orleans Saints to their second Super Bowl appearance. The Rams if they were to win, I believe this would be their fourth Super Bowl appearance. So we shall see what happens. But for right now, it's the Saints 27-26. So that's how I feel about it. That's how we feel about it. And now, gentlemen, especially MF, this is the game you and I wait for all year, MF. Our quote-unquote Super Bowl, if you will. The AFC Championship game. 6:40 kickoff over on CBS. The number 2 seed, the New England Patriots, squaring off against the number 1 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs. Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Hello, friends. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, Jay Feely will have the call. Chiefs are the favorites, of course. They're 3-point favorites. There is playoff history between these two, as we all know. They've met a couple times in the postseason. And actually, it's one time. They have only one other playoff meeting. That was in January of 2016, 3 years ago. They met in an AFC divisional playoff in Foxborough. Patriots won that one 27-20. Week 6 of this year, they played, believe it or not, only the second best game of the year. We all thought the game in Week 6 was going to be the game of the year. We thought no game was going to top that. Well, the Chiefs and the Rams had something to say about that in Week 11. Believe me, MF and I know. Oh, do we know? But nonetheless, Week 6, Patriots 43, Chiefs 40. One of the greatest regular season games you will ever see. 5 stars, Shakespearean drama at its finest. I expect more of the same, even though it is going to be mad cold down there, folks. And let me just say, I did a little investigative reporting earlier, and I heard that Kansas City recently got pounded with 10 inches of snow. And it's because of that, the crews, the grounds crew, had to resod the field. Read into that what you will, gentlemen. So with all those schematics out of the way, Michael Bullock, it's only fitting we start with you because you are our New England Patriots super fan, insider, what have you. Oh, boy. I don't think we're going to get 43-40 again. But nonetheless, with these two dynamo offenses, I got a feeling this could go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest AFC championship game of all time. It's very simply the GOAT versus the GOAT in training.
Well, there's nothing more to say. I mean, you got the GOAT and Tom Brady going up against one of the most amazing, one of the most energetic and fun young men that we have seen in a long time, in Patrick Mahomes. I mean, what a season he's had. 5,000 yards passing, 50 touchdowns. I mean, and I gotta be quite honest. I mean, when we did our NFL preview show, our season preview, both Fletch and I, we crapped all over Patrick Mahomes after the preseason he had. Well, now I guess we're eating that slice of humble pie after that. But I'll tell you what, this is gonna be another game where you're not gonna see a lot of defense being played in this game. I mean, And of course, Tom Brady's history in the cold weather, he's played very well in it. And let's just say another key factor is the running game for the Patriots, because last week we saw Sony Michel, go over 120 yards in that victory over the Chargers. And then of course James White, not only can he run it, but he can also catch passes as well. As you saw last week, with over 15 receptions in that game. And let's not forget Rex Burkhead as well. And of course, that offensive line is going to be really key to protecting Tom Brady, especially when you got guys like Chris Jones and Justin Houston, who's definitely going to try to bring some pressure. And then, of course, the big thing is, how is the Patriots defense going to slow down Pat Mahomes? And of course, that combination. And of course, you got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah. But there is one guy on the defense that's really, really come along lately. And I don't know if you know this guy, but J.C. Jackson. He didn't even play in that first meeting, and now he's been getting more playing time lately, and he's looked really well. So maybe they might have him or Stephon Gilmore on Tyreek Hill. So yeah, and this will be like the third meeting between Bill Belichick and Andy Reid in the playoffs, and let's just say Belichick's gotten the best of Andy Reid both times. So, man, this is a tough one. Part of me is telling me to go with the Patriots. Another part of me is going with the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of the experts are going. A lot of the experts are going with the Chiefs, but there are some who are going with the Patriots. And I'm going to give you some X factors in this game. In my end, for the Patriots end, I think Rob Gronkowski could be an X factor, where he could play a role in blocking and getting that run game going, or I think this could be the game where he breaks out and have that Rob Gronkowski type game. And then on the Kansas City Chiefs side, my X factor is actually going to be on the defensive side. Chris Jones, can he get past that offensive line and get some pressure on Tom Brady? If he can do that, who knows? Maybe Kansas City will have no problem here. So I know this is not going to be a popular decision, but if I'm the only one who goes with this team, so what? I'm going to call for it. I'm going with the New England Patriots to win this one and advance to the third consecutive Super Bowl. I'm going to say my final score. I'm going to say 38-34. New England beats Kansas City. I think they finally get that big road win that they need. I know it's not going to be easy in Arrowhead, but I think this is their time. This is their time to finally put that bad taste of that embarrassing loss in 2014 in Arrowhead. And I think this is where they get it done. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City somehow does it, but you know what? If I'm the only one who goes with the Patriots, so what? So, I really got nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, I know you and Michael Fletcher are going to probably disagree with me, but let's just hear what you have to say about this big game. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, you better believe it's going to be a lot of fun. MF and I have been salivating over this game ever since it became official, after the Patriots took care of the Chargers. So, and yes, I do have, just like I did with the last game, I've got a lot to say on this one too, because like I just said, I'm the Jim Nantz and Joe Buck of this group. So first, let's start with the X factors. For the New England Patriots, It's not a player. Oh no. It's the elements. It's the weather. This was tough because there were a lot of things to consider. Is James White the X factor because he is great at picking up first downs on third down? Is Sony Michel the man because he could run roughshod over a defense that was one of the worst in the NFL against the run? Or is it simply Tom Brady because he can beat anyone, anywhere and anytime? But all of that taken into account leads us to this. The weather is the absolute X factor in this game in favor of the Patriots for several reasons. First, Tom Brady has played in this weather, in this pressure, and on this type of surface multiple times in his career. We know he can win in it, and we know he can torch teams defensively despite bad conditions. Go back to that Week 6, 2009 game when the Patriots went up against the Tennessee Titans in that October snowstorm. Secondly, if the weather is as bad as it's predicted, this has to be considered. Tyreek Hill likely won't be catching as many deep balls because of how cold the temperature is and how wet the surface will be. As a result, the Chiefs will have to focus more on the intermediate game, which means the team will have to go to Travis Kelce. And when Bill Belichick knows a team is going somewhere, he finds a way to shut that person down. See Super Bowl 25. It's pretty impossible for anyone to say this potential type of weather favors the Chiefs, who excel with their passing game. If the weather is bad, you'd have to say the advantage goes to the Patriots. For the Kansas City Chiefs, who else but Patrick Mahomes? Yes, it may seem like the most obvious answer ever, and one that shouldn't be considered as an X factor, but hear me out. Patrick Mahomes is the Chiefs' best player and leads one of the best offenses in the history of the NFL. But how he deals with the weather this weekend will mean everything to Kansas City. Mahomes is from a town in East Texas named White House. It will snow there on occasion, but by the time that happens, the football season is long over. He went to college nearly 7 hours west at Texas Tech, and it can definitely snow out there and get pretty cold. But again, Mahomes was never really playing in that type of weather. And last week against the Colts, Mahomes showed he could throw in cold, wet weather and maneuver around enough on a muddy, slippery surface. But if the weather is as bad as forecasters say, it will be. Mahomes has never played a big game in anything like this, and he'll be going up against the best defensive schemer in all of football in Bill Belichick. There are a lot of unknowns in a game like this from Mahomes. How he adjusts to the weather, Belichick's scheme, and the pressure of an AFC title game will determine if the Chiefs can win. Chiefs are seeking only their second Super Bowl appearance, and first in nearly 50 years. They haven't been to the Super Bowl since Super Bowl 4, when they upset the Minnesota Vikings. The Patriots, on the other hand, well, we know what they're capable of the Super Bowl. They've been there numerous times. So a lot to consider here. Andy Reid and the Chiefs are 2-2 against Bill Belichick and the Patriots since Reid became Kansas City's head coach in 2013. And all 4 of the games have been memorable. There was the Chiefs' infamous 41-14 Monday night drubbing of the Pats in September 2014, dubbed, and that game became known as the On to Cincinnati game. There was the divisional playoff in 2016 that the Patriots won 27-20 as the Chiefs offense took way too long to score in the fourth quarter. Alex Smith and Kareem Hunt knocked off the then Super Bowl champion Patriots week 1 of 2017 in an opener that announced Kansas City was now an offensive powerhouse. And then, of course, the week 6 game this season that saw only 1 punt, 30 combined fourth quarter points, and a last-second Stephen Gostkowski field goal to win it 43-40 for New England. That brief history says it's Kansas City's turn, and the fact that the game was at Arrowhead at least gives the Chiefs a chance against a Patriot team that's playing in this game for the incomprehensible 8th year in a row. The Patriots have not won at Kansas City since November 22nd, 2004 on a Monday night when Corey Dillon rushed for 2 touchdowns. The place is going to be rocking. FPI win projection, of course, it's Kansas City. Not that high, though. 66.8%. Just about 67% for Kansas City. This game features the top 2 offenses in the AFC in terms of efficiency, according to FPI, with the Chiefs ranking first in the NFL The Patriots 4th overall. The Patriots are the only remaining team in the Final Four that ranked in the top 10 in defensive efficiency this season, finishing 8th. But most of that was due to success at home, as they finished 23rd in defensive efficiency on the road. As a result, the Chiefs are the favorite at home, where they posted the highest offensive efficiency in the league this season at 86.6, and the 6th highest by any team since ESPN began tracking the stat in 2008. The matchup to watch: the Patriots' play-action passing versus the Chiefs' defense. New England's power play action is a staple in Josh McDaniels' offense. Out of both base and 3 wide receiver personnel, the Patriots will pull the guard to influence the second-level linebackers, which opens up space for Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski to win on crossing routes. And against the Kansas City defense that leans on man-to-man coverage, clearing the linebackers off play action will allow Tom Brady to pepper the middle of the field. For the officiating, Michael Bullock informed me during one of our chats this week, Clete Blakeman will be the referee for this game, and his regular season crew threw an average of 16.9 flags a game, 5th most in the league. He called 13 in the Chargers-Ravens wildcard game 2 weeks ago. The Chiefs' active pass rush should be aware that Blakeman threw 10 flags for roughing the passer during the regular season, tied for 3rd most in the league. Injury update: the Patriots have no players on their injury report after removing defensive end Dietrich Wise Jr. on Thursday, who had been battling an ankle injury. As for the Chiefs, Eric Berry has a good chance of playing Sunday after participation in both of the week's practice sessions so far. When asked how Berry looked in those practices, Coach Andy Reid said, "He looked good out there. I see him out there looking like Eric Berry." The direction of this game turned in a span of a few minutes in Week 14 on December 9th, when the Chiefs rallied for a victory over the Ravens at about the same time the Patriots were beaten on an improbable final play by the Dolphins. Otherwise, this game will be played in Foxborough. But it's in Kansas City, where Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are 8-1. That loss coming in the final 4 seconds against the Chargers on a Thursday night in Week 15. And allowed just 17.4 points a game. The Patriots were 3-5 on the road and averaged 21.6 points, more than 11 fewer than at home. And if you're going to bet against Brady and Belichick, do you have full confidence in the quarterback and head coach on the opposite sideline? In the immortal words of Beekman from Beekman's World, answer: yes, I do. Michael Bullock, you are exactly right. I'm sorry to do it to you, but I have to go with the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. Now, if this game was in Foxborough, I'd go Patriots all day, especially with the nasty weather coming to their area. But with the game being in KC, and even with the resodding, I still have to go with the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. My final score, 30-24, the Kansas City Chiefs over the New England Patriots to advance to their first Super Bowl in nearly 50 years. And how fitting will it be for this game to be in the backdrop of the man responsible for this conference, the late, great Lamar Hunt. Oh, by the way, they named the trophy after him, in case you don't know. So it's an honor for MF and I to be at the home of the man who put the AFL on the map and one of the men responsible for the AFL-NFL merger nearly 50 years ago. So that's all I can say on that. 30-24, the Kansas City Chiefs over the New England Patriots. Sorry, Patriot fans. Sorry, Michael Bullock. And sorry, Derek Ferreira. That's all I can say on that. And I pray that Derek Ferreira will not go on an EDP 445 style rant after this game. Please don't let that happen. We've had enough of that. So, nothing more to say.
Well, he can't do that on YouTube, especially since his videos were taken down.
Yep. That's very true, Bullock. But let's get back to the business at hand. There's another day we'll get into that. But for right now, good old MF Michael Fletcher. We have had plenty of AFC Championship games over the years. First time ever, Kansas City is the destination. Lamar Hunt's house, the house that Lamar Hunt built. And it's going to be so fitting to be in the house that of the man who put this whole thing together, the voice of the merger. Patriots, Chiefs. We had to miss that Sunday night game because of our baseball playoff commitments. Damn shame, but at least we got the game of the year when they squared off with the Rams in the Coliseum. But nonetheless, our Super Bowl, our quote-unquote Super Bowl, is finally here. The AFC Championship game. Hello,
and
friends.
And on top of that, it's the two best. You know, every year we always talk about, you know, who's fitting, who's deserving of the moment and the spot and the whole 9 yards. Let's be realistic, guys. The two teams that are in it for the AFC Championship are literally the two best. The New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs both went through different paths to get to where they are. For New England, you could say business as usual, but in the standards of the Patriot way and the Patriot fan base, this was by far one of the worst seasons they've ever had. You know, losing games on the road to teams that, in a way, you think about it now, they should have beaten. Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Miami. Those are teams that did not make the playoffs this year, gentlemen. And when it was all said and done, those were the teams that they lost to. Oh, by the way, all on the road. Very telling. And now you're going up against a Kansas City Chiefs team. Anthony said it best, 8-1, dominating all year long. And yeah, they had a hiccup. They did lose to New England, but remember, that was in Gillette. This is in Arrowhead. Oh, by the way, one of the loudest stadiums, if not the loudest stadium in all of the NFL. They put the 12th man in Seattle to shame, for heaven's sakes. As a matter of fact, they are so loud that they actually have the Guinness Book of World Records for being the loudest stadium in all of North America. You can look it up right now on the Guinness Book of World Records. Kansas City's numero uno, ladies and gents. So, what does that mean? And plus, on top of that, it's going to be brutally cold. Oh, God, it's going to be freezing over in Kansas City. I got to bring 2 pairs of long johns. I'm going to be doubling up my socks. My leather's going on. We're going to be, thank God they gave us the heaters up in the broadcast booth, or me and Florio would be icicles when this thing's all said and done. But, I'm going to say it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great matchup. Kansas City is one of those teams that they're destined to be where they're at today. They're destined. This is an unbelievable year for them. When they first came in, a lot of people were very skeptical of them because a lot of people were like, with Patrick Mahomes, he's just, he's a little wet behind the ears. Is he really going to be, that good, that amazing, that anything? Well, Patrick Mahomes is now going to be, in my opinion, the most valuable player of this NFL year. When it's all said and done, Pat Mahomes will be the MVP of the league. I think that's the best way to say it. They've been unbelievable all season long. And, we talk about the different ways that he's been playing the game, how incredible he is. New England's going to have to get after him. You got to penetrate up the line, try to shut down the running game, even though the running game's not as good as it was in recent years with and then you also got to try to handle their receiving core. You got Travis Kelce coming out of the backfield, in the tight end position. Tyreek Hill, man, when he gets in the open field, he's unbelievable to stop. He's almost impossible to stop. If you remember, we didn't get to do the game. Michael Bullock and Derek Ferrera got to do the Sunday night game, and Bullock can say how explosive Tyreek Hill is. That 70-yard bomb from Patrick Mahomes that dart to Tyreek Hill, and just how Hill just got away from the secondary of the Patriots in that big touchdown game. I think he's going to be the X factor in this game. If Tyreek Hill starts getting hot, man, if he starts catching balls downfield and gets like this big chunk of yardage like he's been doing all year long, I just don't see how Kansas City loses. I don't. So, obviously, never, ever, ever bet against the New England Patriots in this situation, too. The Patriots is, without a doubt, one of the greatest franchises in NFL history right now. They've been unbelievable all year long, as always. Brady, Gronk, Edelman. You got a lot of factors in this game. Defensively, I don't know if they can match up with Kansas City. Offensively, Brady's going to have to just do what he does best. Short passes, dink and dunks, cross routes to the guys wide open, and you're going to have to see a lot of Sony Michel. Sony Michel has to get going in this game early. Try to open up that defense. Try to break them in, because they're going to try to get at the quarterback, but if you get shifty around, start running the football, maybe that might be one way to beat them. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm with Anthony on this. I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning the American Football Conference title, the Lamar Hunt Trophy, fitting enough, being in Kansas City. It seems like the stars are aligning for the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game, and I think they're going to do it. So my final score is 35-27. Kansas City wins the AFC Championship, and it's going to be the battle of the top seeds in my prediction for Super Bowl 53. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
And you see the shot right there, gentlemen.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to the game, Anthony.
Look at that. I mean, that's from the little investigative reporting I did earlier today, and resodding. I mean, beforehand, the field was in tremendous shape. I saw photographs from the head groundskeeper. His name is Travis Hogan. He posted a couple of photos on his Twitter page showing the field for this game in tip-top condition. That was until Kansas City just went through and is actually still going through a snowstorm that won't be ending until 4 a.m. their time. So, but it will be cold, and there you see it. That's just a little sample of the resodding that they will have to do in order to keep the field at Arrowhead in as tip-top a condition as they possibly can. I mean,
how's that going to affect Tyreek Hill? Because we all know how fast he is.
I don't think it'll have that much of an effect, but the thing is, it's good to get the resodding in now. Because you got a couple of days to get the field ready and everything else. And I know the NFL is very, 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 very much so when it comes to their fields, and especially with the AFC and NFC championship games going on, they are very meticulous about the way the fields are to be done and to have it in tip-top playing conditions. Trust me, about a week ago in LA, there was a horrific rainstorm in Los Angeles when the Rams and the Cowboys played. Guys, if you would have saw that field prior to the game, like a few hours before the game, you would have been like, there's no way in hell they're going to play this game, because the field was flooded. I mean, horrible conditions. But some way, somehow, they were able to turn that around and got the field in playing shape. I can rest assure you guys, Kansas City will be ready on Sunday night when this game happens, because they are going to be working around the clock from now until maybe 3 hours before kickoff to get this field ready to go. And then from there, you just let the chips fall where they may.
And this is Travis Hogan, who is the head groundskeeper for the Kansas City Chiefs. He said on his Twitter page, "We weren't planning on a resod this week, but Mother Nature had other plans. 10 inches of snow and all the snow in the stadium being hauled out on the sidelines changed things. My crew did an unbelievable job. They are the best. Everyone is tired, but we are ready. Let's roll." And you see the photos there, guys.
That's it. That's what it needs. Look at that. That's what you need to have happen. That is look at that. Oh wow, that's amazing, man. They really, really, really did a great job. I mean, that's what you have to do, man. This is the AFC Championship game. There's no, Mother Nature. Man, I wish I could say the words, but it's a PG show. I can't say it. But you know what I was about to say, fellas. So, yeah, so let's go. I can't wait. The game's going to be amazing. Like I said, get your Long John's Florio. We're going to be freezing on Sunday.
I wouldn't have it any other way, brother. That's all there is to say on that. Wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, how many of games have we done in conditions like this, MF, over the years?
Quite a few in my day. Too many to count, but I don't think I've ever been in an AFC Championship game where the conditions is supposed to be that bad. I don't ever remember a game this cold for an AFC Championship game. I think that's we're going into a virtual unknown when it comes to this.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's going to be as cold as the coldest AFC title game in history, which was the infamous Freezer Bowl when the Chargers and the Bengals squared off at the old Riverfront Stadium in January of '82.
I think from what I heard, the game time temperature is supposed to be like 14 degrees. So I think, it's going to be cold, but like you said, not like the 82 final. So no, I mean, it's going to be cold, but at least we'll have at least a little bit of some leeway here.
Yes, indeed. And, our Super Bowl, man, this is going to be one hell of a championship game. And both of these, like I said, have the potential to be maybe two of the greatest of all time. And, there was, of course, the coldest game in the history of the league was the infamous Ice Bowl, New Year's Eve, 1967 at Lambeau Field. Minus 13 below zero. It was 13 below zero. The wind chill was 48 below zero. And then, of course, that Freezer Bowl game time temperature was 9 below zero. And the wind chill was 59 below zero. And then, of course, that wild card game with Seattle and Minnesota at the University of Minnesota, 6 below, and a wind chill of 25 below. And then at the old Met in 1972, there was a temperature of 0 degrees and a minus 18 wind chill. And then, of course, the NFC title game with the Giants in Green Bay in 08, 4 below zero, and then 24 below with the wind chill. And then the Packers and the Raiders in 93, 0 degrees, and Raiders and Bills in an AFC game in 94, 0, and wind chill of 32, and Bears and Vikings -2 with a wind chill of -26. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens come Sunday when we finally, get the feel of it. So, oh boy, is this going to be one hell of a championship weekend. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be something else. So get ready for 5-star excitement. That's all I can say on that. One last order of business to do on this small show tonight. NBA Power Rankings. They're here and there now. And I got mine all set to go here, guys. So I can see MF has already called it a night. So, Bullock, I know you'll agree with me on all of it. So I'm just going to take it for a spin. I'm going to start it off at number 10 with Michael Bullock's team, the Boston Celtics. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 2 in a row, 27-18. They're third in the Atlantic Division. They're 6th in three-point shooting, 10th in points scored, 15th in field goal percentage, 16th in rebounding. Since the start of the year, they have wins over. They had a 4-game winning streak to open the year, with home wins, and all of them are at home, with wins over Minnesota, Dallas, Brooklyn, and Indiana. But then they had 3 losses in a row on the road at Miami, Orlando, and Brooklyn. And then 2 big home wins, a huge home win against Toronto on Wednesday, and then a nice home win over Memphis tonight. So they have Atlanta coming in. Well, they're going to Atlanta for tomorrow. And then they got Miami coming in on Monday, Cleveland coming in on Wednesday. Next Saturday night, the ABC NBA Game of the Week with the Golden State Warriors coming in. Oh, boy, is that going to be fun. And then Brooklyn comes in on the 28th, and then they end the month at home against Charlotte. So I know many are saying it's been a disappointing year for the Celtics, especially Eric Carrier, but, it is what it is. It's still early. Give it a chance. I still believe they're going to go far. So that's all I can say on that. So number 10 is the Boston Celtics. My number 9, I got the Indiana Pacers at number 9. 7-3 in their last 10. They lost their last game. They're 29-15. They're second in the Central Division, second in field goal percentage, 5th in three-point shooting, 21st in points scored, and 23rd in rebounding. And since the start of the year, they had a road win in Chicago, and then a road loss at Toronto, road win at Cleveland, road loss at Boston, road win in New York, home win over Phoenix, and then a home loss to Philadelphia. They got Dallas coming in tomorrow, and then they got Charlotte coming in on Sunday, and then they got Toronto coming in on Wednesday. They go to Memphis next Saturday. Golden State comes in Monday the 28th. They're at Washington on the 30th, and they're at Orlando on the 31st. So, yeah, it's been a great year for Indiana. One of my personal surprises this year. So, yeah, so Indiana coming in at number 9. I have one tie, just one tie, and it comes at number 8. And I have the Portland Trail Blazers and the San Antonio Spurs as my, well, actually, I'm going to have to make a small indemnity on that because San Antonio won tonight, so that improves their odds. So I'm just going to go with Portland as my lone number 8. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They won their last game. They're 27-19. They're in that Northwest Division race. They're 3rd in rebounding, 9th in three-point percentage, 10th in points scored, 14th in field goal percentage. And since the start of the year, road win at Sacramento, home loss to Oklahoma City, home wins over Houston, New York, Chicago, and Charlotte. And then tough road losses at Denver and Sacramento, home win over Cleveland. And as of right now, they lead the New Orleans Pelicans 74-58 at the half. So safe to say, I think they're going to win this one tonight. They go to Utah, and then they have a 3-game road trip this week. They go to Utah on Monday, at Oklahoma City on Tuesday, and then they go to Phoenix on Thursday, come back home and host Atlanta on Saturday the 26th, and then Utah comes in on Wednesday the 30th. So, yeah, good young team in Portland. We'll have to wait and see how things play out for them. So I have them as my lone number 8. Number 7, this to me, another one of my big surprises, the Denver Nuggets, 30-14, just a half game behind the Golden State Warriors for the best record in the Western Conference. I'm not believing that. 7-3 in their last 10, won their last game. They're 8th in rebounding, 11th in field goal percentage, 11th in three-point shooting, 17th in points scored. Since the start of the year, home win over New York, road win at Sacramento, home win over Charlotte, road loss at Houston, and then a road win at Miami, home win over the Clippers, road loss at Phoenix, home win over Portland, got beat down by the Warriors on Tuesday, and then they took out their frustrations on Chicago Thursday. Not a big surprise. They got Cleveland coming in tomorrow. Then they go to Utah for a big one on Wednesday. Host Phoenix next Friday. Host Philadelphia next Saturday. At Memphis on the 28th and at New Orleans on the 30th. Man, I am so surprised by this team. I could honestly say they may be the biggest surprise in the league this year. I did not expect them to be this good. But here they are, 30-14. And wow, I'm just beyond impressed. So I don't impress easy, but they have really impressed me. So I got to go with them as my number 7. And coming in now at number 6, this is actually where I have the San Antonio Spurs. And 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 2 in a row, 27-20. They actually lead the Southwest Division by a half a game over the Houston Rockets, who, by the way, an honorable mention. San Antonio leads the league in three-point shooting. They're 5th in field goal percentage, 10th in points scored, 22nd in total rebounds. Since the start of the year, home wins over Toronto and Memphis, a road win at Detroit, road loss at Memphis, a wild 154-147 shootout with Oklahoma City on the 10th. And then they lost at Oklahoma City on that Saturday. Bad home loss to Charlotte. And then rebounded with road wins over Dallas and Minnesota. They got the Clippers coming in on Sunday. They go to Philadelphia on Wednesday. Big one there. At New Orleans on Saturday, the 26th. Washington comes in on the 27th. Phoenix comes in on the 29th. And another surprise team, the Brooklyn Nets, close out the month. So, of course, San Antonio still doing their thing after all these years. Popovich has them ready to go, as he always does. So, I expect big things for this team going forward. So with that, San Antonio comes in at number 6. Number 5, go to the top 5. This is actually where I have the tie. The Philadelphia 76ers and another surprise team, the Brooklyn Nets. Both teams are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They both won 3 in a row. Start with Philadelphia, the better team. They're at 30-16. They're 2nd in the Atlantic Division behind Toronto. And they are 4th in points scored, 4th in total rebounds, 8th in three-point shooting, and 8th in field goal percentage. Since the start of the year, road wins at the Clippers and at Phoenix, home wins over Dallas and Washington, a road loss at Washington, a home loss to Atlanta, a road win at New York, home win over Minnesota, and a road win at Indiana. They will be hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow afternoon on ABC. Then they got Houston coming in on Monday night. San Antonio comes in on Wednesday. At Denver on the Saturday, and then they go to the Lakers, and then at the Warriors. Oh my goodness, this is a murderer's row schedule. They're 1-for-1 on that right now because they won at Indiana. OKC coming in, Houston coming in, San Antonio coming in, and then you got to go to Denver, the Lakers, and Golden State. Oh, that is not going to be easy for that fun young team. Trust the process. Well, they're going to really need to trust the process during this murderer's row schedule. And we'll find out if this team is ready for prime time. They weren't last year, but we'll see what happens here. So, my other number 5, the Brooklyn Nets, 24-23. They are 4th in the Atlantic, 10 games out. But they're 7th in three-point shooting, 11th in rebounding, 17th in field goal percentage, and 17th in points scored. Since the start of the year, a home win over New Orleans, road wins over Memphis and Chicago, road loss to Boston, home win over Atlanta, road loss at Toronto, a home win over Boston, and then road wins over Houston and Orlando, including a 145-142 5-star shootout Wednesday night. Sacramento coming in on Monday. Then they host Orlando on Wednesday. New York comes in on Friday. They go to Boston on the 28th, host Chicago on the 29th, and go to San Antonio on the 31st. So another team I was not expecting to do anything, but they've been playing surprisingly well lately. So, and they're over 500, so they meet our criteria. So nothing more to say. Number 5 is Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. Number 4, this is where I had the Toronto Raptors. They are within percentage points. It's between them and the Milwaukee Bucks for the best record in the Eastern Conference, if you can believe that. Toronto at 34-13, lead the Atlantic Division. 8-2 in their last 10, won their last game. 6th in field goal percentage, 6th in points scored, 16th in total rebounds, and 24th in three-point shooting. Since the start of the year, home win over Utah, road loss at San Antonio, road win at Milwaukee, home wins over Indiana, Atlanta, and Brooklyn, and a road win at Washington, a road loss at Boston, and a home win over Phoenix. Memphis comes in tomorrow, and then they host Sacramento on Tuesday. They go to Indiana Wednesday, go to Houston next Friday. They go to Dallas on Sunday the 27th, the day of the Royal Rumble. And then Milwaukee comes in on the 31st. So no big surprise where Toronto is. I mean, they were one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference going in. And I'm not surprised they're flexing their muscle once again. So who knows? This could be their best chance to finally get to the NBA Finals. So we'll have to wait and see. So Toronto Raptors at number 4. Number 3, the Milwaukee Bucks. By percentage points, they have the best record in the Eastern Conference, 32-12. 8-2 in their last 10 games. They won 3 in a row. They lead the league in rebounding. They're 2nd in points scored, 4th in field goal percentage. Their only Achilles heel is the three-point shooting. They're 17th in that. Since the opening of the year, home wins over Detroit and Atlanta, a home loss to Toronto, home win over Utah, road win at Houston, bad road loss at Washington, nice home win, a nice road win in Atlanta, easy home win over Miami, and then a nice road win over Memphis. They're at Orlando tomorrow. Dallas comes in on Monday. Charlotte comes in next Friday. They go to OKC on the 27th. They're at Detroit on the 29th. And then they go to Toronto for a big one on the 31st. Major power ranking implications on that Thursday night game on TNT on Thursday the 31st. I did not think this team was going to be this good. I knew they were going to be a good team. I just didn't think they were going to be this good, where they were going to be one of the best, if not the best, in the conference. So, Giannis Antetokounmpo, folks. That's all there is to say. So they come in at number 3. Number 2, we give it to our good friend Al Braderson's team, the Utah Jazz. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row, 26-21. I mean, they've been red hot, even though their numbers are not all that great. They're 13th in field goal percentage, 15th in rebounding, 20th in three-point shooting, 22nd in points scored. But their body of work has just been amazing. Road loss at Toronto. Road wins over Cleveland and Detroit. A tough road loss at Milwaukee. But since then, they won 6 in a row. 5 of them at home. Home wins over Orlando, the Lakers, Chicago, Detroit. Road win at the Clippers. And then an easy home win over Cleveland tonight. 115-99. They have Portland coming in on Monday night. Then they got Denver coming in for a big one on Wednesday. Minnesota comes in next Friday. They go to Minnesota, home and home series, Sunday the 27th. And then they go to Portland for a big one on Wednesday the 30th. That's part of an ESPN Wednesday night doubleheader. Donovan Mitchell, great young team here. Al Braderson, that's his team. And I know he's got to be very proud of them. And I'm sure he's feeling encouraged right about now. So So they come in at number 2. Number 1, stop me if this sounds familiar. Your reigning, defending, undisputed, back-to-back NBA champion Golden State Warriors. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row. But they got the record. 31-14. They lead the Pacific Division. What else is new? They lead the league in field goal percentage. They lead the league in points scored. They're second in three-point shooting, 9th in rebounds. Pretty damn good. Since the start of the year, a very tough home loss to Houston, 135-134. Road win at Sacramento. Easy home win over New York. Easy home win over Chicago. Road wins over Dallas and Denver, and then a wild one over New Orleans, 147-140. I'm telling you, we are seeing ridiculously high-scoring games this year in the NBA, and that can only mean for hella fun in the All-Star game coming up next month, without a doubt. They're playing at the Clippers right now. They lead them 52-51 at the half. They go to the Lakers on Monday night. They go to Washington on Thursday night. Of course, that big one with the Celtics, what many were calling the NBA Finals matchup before the season started. Could still happen. You never know. Then they go to Indiana on Monday, and then Philly comes in. I mean, they got a murderer's row schedule. I mean, with the exception of Washington. But other than that, business as usual. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and company still rule the roost. I know my dear friend Dawn Avalar will be much delighted with that. That is her team after all. And DeMarcus Cousins paying dividends. So that's all you can say on that. Number 1, as usual, the Golden State Warriors. And that will put the bow on this edition of Strictly Sports. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Michael Bullock, if you're still with us, let's get you quick shout outs, and then we'll put a bow on this night and set up some good future content coming up. I don't know if Bullock's there, but I'll just wrap it up. Special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. But a special shout out to Didi Woodson, Kevin Woodson, and the Woodson family. Our insiders, Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonball, and Daniel Luttrell from the UK. Our other first ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. The other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Bradison, and Rob Parsons. Of course, good old MF Michael Fletcher. I'm glad he was on tonight. I really wanted to get his thoughts on the big games, and we got him. And of course, Derek Ferreira, DFMRI 401, who's been doing some great things over on sportskita.com. Check out his videos. They're amazing. And all of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12. Our friends over at ESPN, FS1, NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, MLB Network, and Dana Sorrell and Lindsey McCormick, and of course our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Brandon Kirby, and Michaela Johnson, the former co-hosts Megan Mooney and Mary Larson, and of course, last but not least, my wonderful friends and church family over at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. If you need a church home, check them out, exit 25 off Route 95. I'm hoping that we'll have Sunday service despite the nasty weather coming in, but we'll have to wait and see. I haven't heard anything yet, but I am hopeful. Of course, traditionally it's Sunday mornings at 9 Bible study, service a little after 10:30, and Wednesday night at 7 Bible study. Other things going on. Very special happy birthday to Pastor Lucille. It was her birthday today, and I hope her day was full of blessings and much love, and that's going to take care of that. So Monday night, of course, we got Ridiculously Raw. It's the go-home show for the Royal Rumble, Monday Night Raw, and my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling, and then of course Tuesday night the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Brace Fan 95. SmackDown Live's go-home show for the Royal Rumble. Maybe something in the Mikey's mindset. We'll see. And next Friday night, I don't know if it's going to be Strictly Sports, but I'm thinking, if I know Derek, it's probably going to be our preview of NXT TakeOver Phoenix and the Royal Rumble next Friday night. Wouldn't surprise me if that ends up being the case. So, yeah. So that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock. And in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Edie Woodson, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. Stay safe if you're affected by the nasty weather coming in. And enjoy the conference championship games on Sunday. And of course, we don't know if we're going to have Ridiculously Raw or the Cerebral Smack Talk because of the possible power outages. So keep an eye out on Derek Ferreira and the Wrestling Forum Facebook page for any updates as they come in. We're hopeful of having shows, but we'll see. So until the next time we see you, for everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye. You've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com.